Hi, I'm Andrew Rickson, convener of this year's Story Conference running in November, Wednesday 23rd to the 25th, Friday the 25th, and we've got Russell Deal joining us. Hi, Russell.
Good morning, Andrew.
And Russell is going to be leading a pre-conference workshop, which actually runs on the Wednesday the 23rd. It's called The City of Lost Stories. In the culture change, memory is everything. But today we're going to have a little chat with Russell about all sorts of things, really. Now, Russell's been the founder of St. Luke's Innovative Resources, and for those of you who know anything about cards, Russell is the brains behind some of the international best-selling cards, the Bears cards, the Strengths cards. So, Russell, could you tell the story of how did you get started in all of this area? Very innovative ways of helping people share their own stories.
I guess it was really a coming together in the late 1980s of a number of staff who were really curious about exploring alternative ways of engaging with people who were doing it tough. These were the people who came through the door of St. Luke's Anglicare, facing a whole lot of life's challenges. And we were learning about some very new approaches, radical ways of inviting people into having conversations and telling their story in ways that led to growth and change. So narrative, solution-focused, strength-based approaches, community building were the things that we started to be really curious about and thinking about how we could change our practice. And we had a look at some of the resources that came from overseas that were being used with folk in those situations. And we weren't necessarily all that impressed because some of them were very ordinary. And we thought maybe if we started with the premise that the folk we worked with deserved quality stuff that were well designed, illustrated. Some of them had perhaps had touches of gentle humour, that using quality materials and something as simple as cards could actually be life-changing in that it opened up stories and storytelling in some very different ways.
Yeah, wow. And life-changing it has been because in 2014 you were awarded an OAM for your service to social work and the community. Could you tell a little bit more about that prestigious award?
Well, I guess we started very naively and jumped into the world of publishing and learnt as we went how to produce card sets, how card sets could be used, and how we could simply use that very simple technology to cross cultural and national boundaries. So by 2010-ish, we'd had nearly 20 years experience and found ways of making sure that our materials could be used respectfully in diverse situations. So it was quite a different approach to social work, which is my professional background. Mm-hmm. And the OAM, I think, was awarded because of the innovation that we'd explored over those 20 years that had obviously had an impact on lots of folk in lots of different situations. And we'd done it in a way that anyone could pick up and use. So as well as professionals using it in their practice, our aim was to create materials that anyone in the community could use and enjoy, and that might lead to different insights into themselves.
I love it. And every time I talk with you, Russell, I love the story that sits behind your sort of the social work entrepreneur there, if you like. 20 years of founding something like that and really making a contribution, and all the card sets. I know I use the Picture This card set quite a lot in organisational work, and it's fantastic. the
Thanks,
skills
Andrew. Yeah.
things there. That anyway, so it's great to have you part of the conference this year. I know you've been part. This is the fourth conference we've run in 8 years, and you've been part of all of the conferences. Actually, I think you were part of the very initial seed idea of should we even run the Story Conference. At the conference this year, you will be running a pre-conference workshop as well as being part of the body of the conference as well, which is fantastic, so that other people can come and chat to you and learn from your wisdom and sageousness. But in your pre-conference workshop, it's intriguing. It's called The City of Lost Stories. In Culture Change, Memory is Everything. And when I read through a little bit more of the detail, I saw that you say 3 unusual writing activities will be introduced: 6-word memoirs, micro stories, and collaborative story writing to demonstrate ways to safely recover narratives of our history and identity. This is quite intriguing. Could you tell a little bit more about this and maybe pick one of those writing activities to share about?
I guess from early on, when we stepped into the world of social work publishing, it was clearly evident that storytelling is the fabric behind social work and behind, I think, all human service work. And the way in which we ask to hear people's stories, the way in which we story our lives, and the way in which we go about storytelling to open up opportunities for change, I think is basic to what we all do as human service workers. Sometimes we actually limit, I think, the way in which we go about this storytelling business. And part of our trial and error learning is to think about how sometimes some simple prompts can make a huge difference in the stories that people tell. Some of those prompts can be simple verbal prompts. Nailing the right question is one of those existential things that we all try and aspire to. But sometimes it's the use of visual metaphor. And I guess that's what we're most well known for, is to think about how we can use visual metaphor to prompt stories and storytelling in a different way. The other thing that we've discovered in that journey is that a lot of people love to write, and writing their story out is a different way of doing the storytelling that sometimes we don't give ourselves the opportunity to do as perhaps we'd like.
Yeah.
And so writing groups have become very popular, and the use of creative writing as, if you like, a therapeutic tool has had a resurgence all over the place. So putting those things together and to think about the fact that we're, as well as being therapists and counsellors or in direct service in a variety of roles, we're also culture changers. And part of our obligations as human service workers is to enact culture change within our organisations. People talk about history as speeding up, and we're certainly aware at times just how speedy things become. And one of the consequences of this speeding up, I think, is that a lot of our stories within our organisations can be lost. And how do we record the stories of the things in our experience within our organisations that really work? So one of the very simple things we'll do in the workshop to kick it off is just use the metaphor of a sparkling moment. What's been a sparkling moment in your journey as a participant in this workshop, your journey in your organisation? And we'll share stories about this notion of sparkling moments and think about how we can learn from those. And we'll get people to write their sparkling moment write it up in a couple of different ways. One way will be a very simple, fun 6-word story activity. And that'll lead into a micro story. A micro story is about 150 words. And you can write a micro story in 7 minutes. And that's what we'll be having a go at.
So an
and it'll be a
example of
story about
an
part of
example.
your organisational life that perhaps would have resonance and usefulness to other people in your organisation, or perhaps people stepping into your role.
Okay, so an example of a 6-word story could be for sale, gumboots, never worn.
Indeed.
Yeah,
For sale, children's shoes never worn is the iconic 6-word
yeah,
story that's often quoted.
yeah,
Um, and it sounds really simple and trite, but in fact there can be profound learnings in just using 6 choice words to talk about your experience.
yeah. That's marvelous. Well, look, thank you so much, Russell. It's really great to chat to you this morning, and even better to have you part of the conference this year again. And the pre-conference workshop is a great opportunity for people to come and join and learn a lot with you. So thank you very much, and look forward to catching you at the conference, as will a lot of other people, I'm sure.
Thanks, Andrew. I'm looking forward to it greatly, and thanks for your support and inspiration over many years.
Thank you, Russell. Talk soon.
Okay.